Salam everybody, this is Investor Sheikh back at it again with another video. Now today I want to talk about Sharia compliance of stocks and how they may change over time. So this question in the FAQ at the Zoya app stood out to me. It asks, how often are Sharia compliance reports updated? And they are updated every time a company reports its earnings. This means that for most companies, the compliance status will be reassessed roughly every quarter or 3 months. So when a company releases their earnings, they provide an earnings report that will indicate how the company has performed, what revenue streams they had, did they take on any debts, and all that type of stuff. So this just shows you that companies are changing over time. And this also means that their Sharia compliance can change over time. I'm pretty sure at one point Apple was a completely Sharia compliant company when they were just manufacturing computers and their Mac OS software, assuming they have no debt. But then again, as the company got bigger and bigger, they started adding more services, which would no longer make them compliant due to some issues regarding the services such as Apple Music or Apple TV. So over time, companies will change, and that also means their compliance status may change. And Zoya will try its best to update the compliance status every 3 months. So you may be wondering, what happens to a stock when it changes its compliance status? So according to this email that I received from Islamically, which is another halal investor app similar to Zoya, they provided you with 2 scenarios. The first one is a compliant stock that becomes Sharia non-compliant. If you invest in a Sharia compliant stock and it turns non-compliant, you have 90 days to sell that stock. It turns compliant, then you are as good as you were. If it does not turn compliant, then you have to exit the stock at the end of the 90 days. All capital gains and dividends received from 90th day till the sold date have to be donated, which also means purified. If you are in a loss, there is no purification required, as you did not earn anything. So, as a halal investor, if you are investing in a stock that is not Sharia compliant, then that money that is invested into that company is considered dirty money. And the best way to purify that dirty money is to give it to charity. Give it in the form of zakat. Whether you want to give that money to a mosque or a non-profit organization or the less fortunate. As long as you are donating that money, you are in the clear as a halal investor. And that's only if you've profited from the company. Now, personally, I have invested in non-compliant stocks earlier in my journey. And I've learned from my experiences that I shouldn't invest in non-Sharia compliant stocks. And any stocks that I have invested in should be sold, and that money would be donated. And it really just makes you feel good when you give that money to a charity or someone who's less fortunate, because they need that money. If you gave a homeless person a $5 bill, you will make their day. Even $1. They're just used to getting change. But if you give them a dollar bill, you will make their day, and that's a good feeling. So the second scenario is if a non-compliant stock turned compliant. If the stock you invested in was compliant at the time of investment, but subsequently turns non-compliant, you will have 90 days to exit that stock. This 90-day grace period is given to make the exit easier for the investor, accounting for adverse market conditions, next quarterly results, and other conditions may exits. All gains, capital, trading, dividends, can be retained as permissible income if the stock is sold within the 90-day grace period. All gains need to be fully purified. For example, 100% of such gain from the end of the 90th day till the date of sale needs to be purified, meaning given to charity. You may deduct any transaction charges such as brokerage paid and other statutory taxes, and the net amount needs to be donated. And they provide an example. So stock A, it was compliant when you bought it, and then you sold it when it was non-compliant. And you paid $10 for the stock on January. It turned non-compliant on April, and it tripled to $30. So that means you have until the end of June to sell the stock. They provide you with two scenarios. If you sold the stock on the 1st of June, and then you sold it for $100, that means you had a capital gain of $90. That $90 would be considered permissible income because it was sold before the end of the grace period. So in that scenario, no income needs to be purified or given to charity. But then scenario 2 says you sold the stock on the 1st of July, and you sold it for $150, which means you had a capital gain of $140. That means $90 is considered permissible income, meaning the remaining amount, which is $50, has to be given away to charity as it is considered non-permissible income. You may deduct the transaction charges as the net amount needs to be donated. So it does seem a bit complicated, but this is what they suggest you do as a halal investor. Try to give yourself 90 days to take account of any market corrections that may happen, such as the one that we experienced in the month of March. Give us some time. That's why they give you that 90-day grace period, which is plenty of time to close out of a position. So I'm just putting this out there for all of you who want to be halal investors. This is something to keep in mind. In my channel, I strongly support halal stocks, and I strongly support giving a portion of the wealth that you've created from investing as zakat. It is important that we do so as Muslim investors. This is Investor Sheikh checking out.